New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
This is What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. Brought to you by the New Thought Media Network. Give a set of applause emojis in the chat for your co-hosts, Rev Casey Taylor and B.Lovely. And then it's not Rev Casey Taylor and B.Lovely.
Welcome to another episode of What's Up and Why. I am Miss B.Lovely, joined here with the lovely. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I am Miss Addison Villines. It is so lovely to be here. B.Lovely, thank you for having me. Rev Casey is out for today due to some travel constrictions, but I am really amazed and just so grateful to be here. I love what you guys are doing so much.
Thank you. You're super supportive. We always see you in the comments. We always see you showing love. And you've been here since the very beginning, which a lot of people
honey, executive producer extraordinaire, baby.
She's the producer extraordinaire. So Miss Addison is going to be co-hosting with me today. She has her lovely bonnet on. We was talking about bonnets and how I don't do the tie ones because I sleep wild in my bonnet. If I don't have her secured with the band, she is going to get up and walk away in the middle of the night. She's going to go live her best life, probably pick up a man or two, get her a little cute drink and stuff. And then I wake up with my hair not protected.
And see, I found that with the bands, it slipped off my head more
than
with just. And but I feel like it's probably a little bit of hair texture difference, and my hair gets super oily, and so the band just floop to where if I can secure this thing down, you don't stay. You know, it's a little Oz.
Hi, Wayne. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're
so B.Lovely. How you be, friend?
I be really good. I just came home from work. It was a busy day. The stock markets are taking a tumble. People are, concerned about everything that's going on, with the economy and the temperature of the country. So I've just been really thinking of how can I have myself, in a place where I am mentally sound, spiritually whole and well, and not letting all of this stuff get to me. Because yes, life is happening. Life is lifing, especially as an adult. I miss being a little child. So I've just been really focusing on how can I be at peace and have joy despite everything that's going on. And I've been doing a lot of meditation. I've been going out into nature a lot, doing a whole lot of walks, getting my vitamin D from the sun. And those nature walks, it turns my mentality completely around. I could be having a little melancholic moment, but then being out in nature, doing my meditation, doing my prayer, I just feel like I get this battery pack where it's oh my gosh, I feel 100. I feel like I can get through the rest of what's going on.
I love that. I so love that. I love that you're talking about going out in nature more, because I literally just actually had this thought of, yes, winners do meditate. That's
yes.
I grew up in the mountains in Arkansas for a majority of my life. And so being out in nature, I was an only child, honey, all there was me in the damn woods. We was besties, baby. Me and them trees and them nymphs. We was this. So I do have times now. I live in Oklahoma City. And so there are times to where I'm man, I need to go reconnect with that in a different way. Because I do find myself weirdly more irritable when I haven't kind of had that time of just sort of not hearing cars rushing by, not the honking, not all of that, but just literally hearing the wind as it goes across water and what that sounds like, or like the trees rustling as they're all starting to fall in the fall. Like all
Mhm.
of those sorts of amazing things. Like those are the sounds that I like miss sometimes. So I
Yeah.
love that you're doing that for you.
I have to. I like what you said earlier about how you feel like, you have to you feel connected with nature when you go back out there, because that's exactly how I feel. Like for me, it just feels like I'm being connected back to the source where I was created from. So,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, so I need that because, I'm living and working in a city, being connected to technology and stuff. I just feel like it takes a lot out of me, especially being plugged into, what's going on around you and staying up to date with everything. It's a lot, but like being able to like take that breath to, be in the silence and the stillness of nature to see how the animals are like, interacting with each other. Feeling the breeze, that's my favorite part, just feeling the breeze just hit you and just realizing, "Okay, I am just a small part of this bigger picture that I am a part of and living in." And it just
I
helps to like, just like, "Okay, all right, reshape my mind. I see there's bigger things that's happening around me."
Girl, not you said. I reminded myself that I am not main character, that I am absolutely shrub B in the background and need to remember my place.
I saw something online about how we're all living in our own like basic like TV shows or movie, and we're the main characters in, our own story. And, just being in nature makes me realize, there are millions, billions of other stories that are happening around us and stuff. And we need to be using what we're strong in to connect with other people, to help everybody, to make a difference, to reach their fullest potential.
Well, and if we really break it down to what we should be remembering is that we're all just one people at the end of the day. So even though we
Mhm.
may have all of our own individual stories, we also carry a group collective story together.
Mhm. Speaking of group collective stories, that leads
Ooh,
us into our next segment, giving reverence. Rev Casey Taylor usually does this, but since they are not here, I am going to be giving reverence. In this section, we, give a shout out to somebody who is doing something positive and uplifting out here in the world. There was a story that had came out earlier this week on March 22nd in Augusta, Georgia. A 24-year-old man by the name of Chris Lewis. He was arrested at a McDonald's in Augusta, Georgia, because he had left his three children, ages 10, 6, 1 years old, to go to a job interview. And there were people who were in the restaurant who had noticed like this man left his kids in the restaurant, but he would like come back periodically to check on them. And he was gone for about 2 hours before somebody called the police. When he finally came back from the job interview and the mother had also showed up, police had arrested him, taken him into custody. And there was a lot of backlash online. Well, it was kind of a toss up online because there were some people saying this is a man who was clearly trying to do the best that he could for his kids. Like 24 years old, you have a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And yeah, shouldn't have left them in a restaurant by themselves. But also, I can understand that, like being in a bind, like, you have this job interview, you cannot miss this because this is the way how you're able to, feed and take care of your kids. But also, there's the safety aspect. So he was arrested, and former NFL player Antonio Brown, he's been problematic in the past, but today I'm giving him reverence because when he saw this story online, he created a fundraiser online. Everybody started giving donations. They raised $60,000 for this father and three kids. So hopefully, Chris Lewis in Augusta is able to use this money to, help better his life, to get stable housing over for him and his kids. Another caveat: they've been homeless for several months. So that kind of makes sense why, the kids weren't at home because they didn't have a home to go to. So definitely giving reverence to Antonio Brown
well, and
because
also I was just thinking about that point, to be honest with you, and I'm actually not
Mhm.
really sure if it would be better if he had left the kids at home rather than like the McDonald's that was right by the place.
Yeah.
Because like at least with it being at the McDonald's right by the place, like if something does happen, he's literally right there and can get to them as soon as possible. To where if they did have a house, you know, it's probably further distance than the McDonald's across the street.
Mhm.
So like I'm not really sure in that which one would honestly be
That's a good point, because like, if
better.
they were at home and something happens with the one-year-old, because I feel like a 10-year-old, for me, when I was a kid at 10, my brother's 5 years younger than me. Sometimes I would watch my brother when he was 5 years old. We wouldn't be for, like, a long period of time with each other when I was watching him, but it wasn't abnormal for me during the summer months, like when both of my parents was at work, for me to watch my brother until somebody else could come and like take care of us and stuff when I was 10. But with that 1-year-old, if all three of them were at home and something happened with the 1-year-old, I don't think the 10-year-old would really know what to do in a situation like that.
Well, and we no longer live in an age where there's like house phones anymore. And what
That
10-year-old is
kids
going to
have
have a
tablets
cell
now,
phone?
Addison.
Yeah, but what kid is, but you can't call 911 from a tablet. Can
These
you?
kids are very smart. I feel like a child will find some way to be able to interact with
I mean, I
somebody.
guess they could still interact with the parent or whatever, but it's still like in my head, like, you know, at least because it was ingrained in me, like, if you get into trouble, call 911, like, call 911, call 911. And so, but now we live in an era where, like, how is that kid going to call 911? There's not a house phone anymore. Their parents have cell phones, but they don't. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's a toss up, because like even leaving the kids in the McDonald's, they could have also gotten kidnapped. Thank God that didn't happen, but that could have happened. Somebody could have snatched up the kids and stuff. But even though, it ended negatively with the father being arrested, there was, this silver lining where, well, $60,000. I don't know if the GoFundMe has gotten more money, but this money is definitely going to completely change that family's life. They could possibly, like, get more housing. Father can be there for the kids and stuff more with this money.
yeah, I'm here for that. That's beautiful. And I hope that Antonio matches that because 60,000 ain't crap on his 9-figure salary with the NFL.
Well, at least he used his platform
He
to like
did.
raise
I
awareness
will
and make
give him.
help this family. So we're giving reverence for that, for the fact that you used your platform to help this family that was definitely in need, because this man getting arrested, if he is already trying to find a job, having a record, it's going to make getting a job even harder, having to pay for lawyers and attorneys fees and stuff. It's going to make even harder to, take care of these babies. So hopefully, Chris Lewis, you use the money to make your life and these babies' lives so much better.
Oh, the Shade Room is reporting that he wasn't at a job interview. Oh,
Is that a reputable source?
yeah, I don't know that I trust the Shade Room, babe.
It's called the Shade Room.
No shade. We love you over at Spirit Uncensored, though. Cute little shout out because that comment was from them.
Oh
So,
my.
but no, I love that. And I really hope that, like, he also can find a way to be kind to himself in this, because I'm sure there's a little bit of beat up on himself going on of like, crap, like this happened because of all this and I've done all this and I'm in this place. And like, like you were saying at the beginning, life sometimes. And
Life be lifing sometimes.
and sometimes you just have to learn to be kind to yourself through those times and be like, today was awful, but I'm making it through one step at a time, like I'm doing it.
And I think this is a good lesson to keep in mind, that, we should use, if you're able to help somebody, whatever it is that you're able to give, maybe it's not money, maybe it's time, maybe it's a listening ear, maybe it's a shoulder to cry on. But we were, in my opinion, what I think is we were all put on this earth together at the same time so that we can work together as community, to live in community, to help each other out. And so I hope that you guys, like, when you listen to this story or think back in this story, if you know somebody that's in your life who may be going through a tough time, think about how you can help them in any way. You don't have to give financially. You can give, emotional support. You can, a listening ear, that helps a lot. Because sometimes, like, I know for me, it's good to be able to vent and get advice from people and just have that listening ear sometimes. What about you, Addison? When you're
Yeah.
shaking your head, what?
No, I'm shaking my head at, sorry. Shaking my head at something else. I saw something in the corner of my eye. That's why I went off screen and was looking and realized that it was just out of the corner of my eye and I'm crazy and was shaking my head at myself. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you said like today we're gonna do like a special pop culture pop off. What's popping off?
Honey,
What's
because
popping off?
listen, why do better when you can just pop off about some stuff sometimes, honey? Like, and I don't want to be bluesy about this because I really want to like pop off and have a real conversation and be like, this needs to change. What we're going to pop off about today is reality TV and the fact that there needs to be a shift in how we are using these people and their real life stories. And then these production companies are twisting their real lives and stories to what fits them while providing them with all kinds of alcohol and stuff. So they say a bunch of stupid stuff on a national platform that then they put out there, make all kinds of money, take from these people's businesses that they create on these platforms. Because almost every single reality TV show that's, whether or not it's a competition series, now has something that's called a Bethany clause, that's based off of Bethany Frankel, because she is the only housewife who has ever kept her full IP of her business. And when she sold Skinny Girl, her company that she built out of Bravo and Real Housewives of New York, that sale was $100 million and Bravo got $0 from it.
Wait, she created the Skinny Girl popcorn?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
She started that entire line based off of a liquor line called the Skinny Girl Margarita that she said on the TV show. And so it became a thing. And so she bottled it and it became one of the fastest liquor brands ever to blow up in America. Sold to, I can't remember which liquor company, but sold to a liquor company for $100 million, all that sort of stuff. Bravo saw none of that money. So now literally in almost every single, it's industry standard now for a Bethany clause, which says that they can take anywhere from like 5 to 30%.
Wow.
Depending on the contract.
Wow. Okay, so Bravo did that because her business made so much money and they made zero. So they're like, okay, we need a piece of the pie.
Even though, honey, they're making bukus of advertising dollars and all that kind of stuff because millions of people watch each of those shows.
Man, that's one thing that I don't get. Like this morning at my job, one of the Real Housewives of Potomac had came up to the station, and folks was like, "Ooh,
wait, was it Wendy? Please tell me
No,
it was Dr. Wendy.
Giselle.
Oh, I like Giselle.
But see, I've never watched a single episode. I've never watched any of the Real Housewives. Like the only time I used to watch reality TV was in the beginning stages, like when Flavor of Love, I Love New York, Jersey Shore. That's my guilty pleasure show. But then I was in middle and high school about that time. And then I just got to the point where I don't want to see all these people fighting. I don't want to see, all this name calling. I don't want to see all this arguments. Because for me, like with the environment that I grew up in, hearing people argue, it just it's a trigger for me. So and I remember we had a conversation before. You said you love the arguing in the reality shows.
Here's the thing. I find that in real groups of friends, there's always going to be disagreements, whether it's on opinion, whether it's how someone does something, whatever. So I like seeing where it's like, I'm not a fan of, ooh, and I'm going to say this. I don't want to say it like that. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. No. Okay, wait, calm down. Because there's a time and a place.
Baddies on Zeus?
I don't watch it on Zeus. I don't pay for Zeus. That's crazy. But I watch some of it. But Casey said y'all are so good. I'm so here for that. We love you, Casey.
Hey, Casey, you on the other side of the screen.
Oh, honey. But no, to me, I really enjoy the I don't enjoy where it's like screaming back and forth to where you can't understand and bitch, blah, 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 blah. But what I do enjoy is where you're hearing like Giselle is one of the good ones at it, where you're having a discussion and a girl is getting in her reads as she can get them. That's what I like, because that shows cleverness, that shows intelligence, that shows wit. Like if you're just up here screaming F you, blah, 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 I'm not interested because like, girl, anyone can do that. But if you're able to say, honey, that mop off your head needs to find the dollar store that it came out of, like, I'm now going like, "Ooh, girl, that was a good one, honey."
Yes.
But I want to stop because and kind of what prompted this for me is I was watching an interview with Lisa Rinna, who was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Before that, she was a soap star. She's been a soap actress since like 1985, like old school. She left the franchise a couple of seasons ago, but she was doing this podcast and they were asking her about it. And she said, you know, what really was is in the beginning, Bravo was a space that was amazing advertising real estate for you to get whatever business that you're doing, all of those sorts of things out there. And then over the past few years, it has shifted from that to this social media game of everyone wanting to make the audience like them because the audience, because it's more focused on social media, controls your money a lot more. Of if they like you, you're going to get a lot more brand deals. You're going to get the good stuff. You're going to do all of this. If you're villainized on the show, which is not 90% of the time really your fault, it's edit and how they edited the conversations and all that sort of stuff, then you can lose money. And so, and she was like, and so because of the toxic fandom is why I decided to leave. But my point in this is that it's the production companies who are creating the toxic fandom.
The producers who put the storylines together and everything.
Baby, because you can't tell me you don't know what you're doing. And some examples that were really blatant to me, and it's straight up like part of the reason that I feel like on some of these shows where you have like Potomac and Real Housewives of Atlanta are both all black casts, and Atlanta has been an all black cast for like 10 years. It didn't originally start as they had one white girl on that show, but you need to have black people producing black people.
Well, I don't know, because
in my opinion, let me explain why. So when they had Kim on and they had multiple producers on, there was a lot of conversations that white producers would tell Kim or one of the black girls to tell Kim, or have Kim tell one of the other girls, that was some wild stuff that in today's time would never, ever be able to be said on different stuff. Of like a producer had Kim make a comment in one of her interviews about, no, I didn't want to go sit at a barbecue with Nene and eat chicken. Like there's some of that sort of stuff that I'm like, you know what you're doing. Stop
like microaggressions.
Right. Why are you putting that? Well, why are you even putting that out there? Why are you feeding that to a white girl to say about a black woman? That's crazy.
It's because conflict is what drives up reality TV. Like when you look at the formula of a lot of reality TV, if it's not one of those competition shows like The Amazing Race or something, there's going to be conflict. I've noticed that, like, you know, in the real world, in what is it called, in Big Brother, in Flavor of Love, I Love New York, all of them with the same formula, there's going to be some type of conflict because for some reason, I guess the fighting, the arguments, all the mudslinging, that sells. And I was talking with a couple of my coworkers today, and we was discussing, like, you know, why is it that a lot of people like reality TV? I think it's because people like mess. They just don't like mess in their own lives. But it's like a car accident. When you're driving by a car accident, you rubberneck. It's like, ooh, look at that. Glad it's not me though. And I feel like that's how it is with like the audience for a lot of reality TV. They want to see the mess and all that drama. They just don't want it in their own personal lives.
Well, but then they get mad when people are not showing part of themselves to protect that part of their life because of that type of thing. Like, so, again, Beverly Hills, another one. One of the girls on there is Kyle Richards. She was a child actor that was on like Little House of the Prairie when she was a kid. She played little Laura on Little House of the Prairie and a couple other things. But she has recently like gotten separated for her husband of over 20 years, blah, 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 blah. She entered into this really amazing friendship with this lesbian woman named Morgan Wade, who is like a singer of some sort, and brought her on the show. And people continue to speculate about like, oh, they must be together. Oh, they must be this. Oh, they must be that. And so it came up on the show this year as she's like, Morgan didn't sign up for this. She wasn't really comfortable with it last year. I don't want to discuss it. And the fans are mad at her like, well, why the hell not? Blah, 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 blah. Because the storyline isn't true. And why should she drag her friend through the bullshit for you guys? And that's me saying that. That's not Kyle Richards saying that. Just to be clear, that is Addison Jane, MF and Villines right here. This girl. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And so I'm calling out reality TV production companies. Stop feeding people so much booze they don't realize they don't fully comprehend what they're saying, and then you're feeding them lines to tell people so you can make them look like an ass on national television and be judged in front of millions of people. It needs to stop. These are people's real lives. These people have real emotions, and there's real life consequences. People have gone to jail.
Wait,
because
who's
of
gone?
mistake.
Oh,
Teresa Giudice went to jail because she filed bankruptcy, and the first 2 seasons of the show, the producers were doing crazy shit like handing her stacks of cash that were like ones with 5s and 20s like on top and bottom to make it look like she was spending a lot, and sending her in stores with it so that way the federal government could see that. And she ended up getting convicted for fraud because her husband signed some bullshit paperwork and handed her the paper and said, "Here, babe, sign this."
Man, see, I don't know anything about that because, like I said, I am out of the reality loop.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the behind the scenes stuff that happens. Of like, the fans just see, oh, Teresa is a crook and a criminal and is a fraudster and all this sort of stuff and blah, 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 blah. And when you actually listen to what she says in her explanation of that time period, she was like, that wasn't what it was. My husband was in charge of the finances, which any fucking Italian person can tell you, or a person who comes from that sort of culture of like traditional marriage. That's very normal for like the husband who's going out, who works construction, to be the one who's holding the checkbook and says, yeah, sure, that just don't spend too much. Like, that's not uncommon. And so if her husband came up to her and said, hey, babe, sign this paper. We're in a little financial trouble. I'm trying to get us out of it. I just need your signature. Duh, she would probably fucking do that. Like, that's her husband. She trusts him. You know what I mean? Like,
I always knew like there was like some falsehoods in reality TV because when I was in high school, there was a family friend. He was a twin who was on A Shot of Love with Tila Tequila. And yeah, so when he came back,
you want to talk about a throwback, babe? Ooh.
Throwback, but like we was having like I was eavesdropping because I was in high school, so I wasn't supposed to be part of that conversation, but I was eavesdropping on the adults, and he was basically saying, yeah, all that stuff on that show is fake. Like they make us do this, they tell us to do that, and so I knew like even in high school, like okay, and this was mind you like in 2010, 2011, I was like okay. Reality TV is not real because he was telling us like the producers would tell them to do stuff and would set up everything. And like a lot of this stuff was like staged basically for television.
Wild. That's wild.
Yeah, that was a real throwback. A Shot of Love with Tila Tequila.
Facts. Reality TV is not real. And that's what I wanted to wrap this up on, is just to say to people who watch reality TV and judge it as if it is someone's real life, realize you were seeing per episode 8 hours of like 2 weeks worth of filming.
They shoot it in 2 weeks? Or
No, like they shoot an episode every 2 weeks. They shoot for like 6 months out of the year.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of giving up your, your personal life, your peace and all that. I couldn't sign up for that. I saw Jonah Hill had did an interview a few years ago that said he would never do reality TV because it's so boring. Like, why would anybody want to take a look into my own life?
But well, that's why for me, my goal and intention is in 10 years, I would like to have a reality TV show that's produced by myself that is on one of the major networks. Like, I would love to come up with a new style Housewives sort of vibe, because I want to change the culture and turn it into, you can still have these things and have all of this entertainment and not have to do it in a shady, crazy way.
Let's leave people on that note. You don't have to follow the formula that people present to you. You can take it and make it into your own. Like when you cook a recipe that you find online. I know for me, I don't follow every recipe to the T. I like, maybe add my own little sprinkle, razzle dazzle and stuff. But
Yeah, girl, you
challenge
know
the
I gotta
status
add my
quo.
Lowry's in there no matter what.
And for me, since I'm in Maryland, a little bit of Old Bay because Old Bay
Oh,
is Bay. Did you
um,
have anything you wanted to leave the viewers with?
just stay lovely
Stay lovely,
and
stay
never forget.
kind.
Always remember to ask the question, "What's up and why?"
Thank you. Great closing. Well, this has
Oh,
been another episode of What's Up and Why. I am Miss B.Lovely.
I am Addison Villines, and we will see you next time.